Tim Leonard filling in for Brian as we roll along into hour number 2. 315 here with you until 6 p.m. this afternoon. We've talked a lot about Benny Williams. That's been the story of the day. I think we need a little breather from that negative topic right now. We're going to go to the phone lines, our guest lines, bring on our guy Kyle Fetterly, who calls the men's lacrosse games with me, and we were there in the Dome last night for a convincing win for the Cuse. And Kyle, I'm glad to bring you on to be a little bit more of a positive topic right now. But what has stood out to you from the strong start here of these first 2 games for the SU men's lacrosse team?
Well, what stood out to me without question is the face-off circle. That's where, right on that X, is where Syracuse was Achilles' heel last year. But even last year with the Achilles' heel, when they got the ball, Syracuse's efficiency was really good. And now that they get the ball a lot with Mason Cohn, boy, the efficiency's off the chart. I mean, you're talking about 40 goals and almost 40 goals in 2 games. So, I mean, it's that is what has stood out more than anything else to me.
Right, and I know some of the conversation right now, Kyle, we've been talking about a little bit over the course of the day today, and even yesterday we were talking about on the broadcast how, yeah, it's 2 wins, but you could point to, all right, let's see when the competition really steps up. I think we're all kind of targeting Maryland on February 17th. That's a top 5 Maryland team as it stands right now. That is kind of a litmus test type of game. But Mason Cohn at the faceoff X and John Mullen at the faceoff X, to be 73% as a team through 2 games, I don't really care what the competition is. And you were there at the Michigan scrimmage as well. And Mason Cohn was very impressive from what we've gathered in that Michigan scrimmage too, right?
Yeah, they were. I mean, both of them were, honestly, in the Michigan scrimmage. The thing that bit him in the rear end in that Michigan scrimmage was the 10-man ride. Now, people don't understand what a 10-man ride is. It's basically everybody on the defense, when you get the ball, locks down on their guy, including the goalie. He'll come way out of the cage, so there's nobody for you to pass to. And as you run towards the sidelines or whatever, that sideline becomes another defender, and that's where turnovers occur. And that's honestly where Colgate got Penn State on the 10-man ride. And it's not something that you really work on early in the season, only because it takes so much time to coach it. And the coaches in the beginning of the year are more worried about, you know, the offenses they're putting in, the defenses they're putting in, the clear they use, their man up, their man down, their defensive and offensive postures on the face-offs. All those types of things got to be worked on. And then, there's a 10-man ride. It takes up a full day of practice, basically. And that's where I think Penn State got bid on by Colgate on it. Syracuse did a little better than Penn State did, but they actually practiced against it. But still, Syracuse had 21 turnovers, and that's far too many in this league.
Yeah, Penn State had 25. Penn State was the number 4 team in the country entering the season. Colgate went to State College and beat them on a thrilling last-second goal. So that was a major upset, got Colgate into the top 20 in the Coaches Bowl, and then Syracuse won last night. As you were saying that, Kyle, it kind of made me think that what's so impressive about how Syracuse won the game last night, it was a quick turnaround. Now, it was a quick turnaround for both teams, but I would have to think, given Colgate does a lot of 10-man ride and the fact that they're playing kind of that unique zone defense, which we did see them jump the passing lanes a good amount and get some deflections, but it's just kind of an unusual style that Colgate plays, which is kind of a tough team to play on a quick turnaround. And the fact that the Orange won the game by 8 yesterday, given how Colgate looked at Penn State and that they were coming in with some confidence, I think is a good sign. It makes me even more encouraged than maybe just a standard win over Colgate, that they were able to do it on a quick turnaround as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, all of that, Tim. But there's one other thing that you did mention: Syracuse's depth. Yeah. I mean, Syracuse is very, very deep. Colgate is not. And we saw it, for example, on Syracuse's man-down defense, where they substitute 5 new guys in there, which are credible. And I think, what was Colgate? I think they were 0 for 5 or 1 for 6,
I think
something
they got
like
one in the end, yeah.
Right, at the end. So, I mean, the bottom line is Syracuse is very deep all over the field, offense, defense, and, and they're even deep in the goal. I mean, we only saw Will Mark yesterday, but Jimmy McCool's outstanding, Ippoliti's outstanding. They've got some players in the net, too. So, Syracuse beat them on depth, I think, more than anything else. But the other thing is, too, Syracuse had the ball, and there is a ton of good shooters on that Syracuse offense. So they're fun to watch. The interior passing is second to none. I mean, the way they scoot the ball around the perimeter and then fire it into the middle, and then right back out if it's not there, it's incredible how quick that interior passing is that Syracuse has.
It is such an exciting brand of lacrosse to watch. And look, you've been around and seen a lot of great Syracuse teams, Kyle. Maybe no one has seen quite as many as you, and you've been a part of a lot of these national championship journeys for the Orange. I'm not saying, as of what we know right now, that this is a national championship team or anything like that, but they are playing well, and we'll see how it goes from here. But I will say that just the brand of lacrosse that Syracuse is playing, like the fact that they had a SportsCenter top 10 goal last night, and it was Michael Leo going behind his back to Finn Thompson. I mean, you could have picked 4 other goals from the game last night that would have qualified as SportsCenter top 10. It's a highlight reel team to watch, and the product they're putting out on offense, I would have to think of all the teams that you've seen is probably right up there in terms of just the brand of lacrosse and how fun it is to watch them play offense.
Don't blink.
Yeah,
I tell people, don't blink, because I'll tell you right now, they move the ball so quick, they get up and down the field. But, that's Gary Gates' style. Honestly, shoot. You can't score without shooting, and they want to generate a lot of shots. They had 59 of them last night, And guess what? When you shoot that much, you're going to have some turnovers. The goalie's going to make some saves. I mean, don't forget, the goalies want to make some saves, too. They don't want to be embarrassed out there, but they want to get up and down the field and shoot. I think, honestly, as a critique overall last night, I would say that Syracuse, was shots on goal were 36 shots on goal, 59 shots overall, 36 shots on goal, and 18 goals. 50%, that's pretty good in any league, without question. But I think they could have had a lot more. Got to shoot a little smarter, I think, number one. And number two, I think the defense has got to work on communications a little bit better. Now, they're off today. Obviously, they have to take a mandatory day off. But I think those are the things that John Aderna and Pat Marshall, the offensive and defensive coordinators there, will get after those guys a little bit when they get back to practice. So communication on defense, better shooting on offense. But, the bottom line is Joey Spallina was 4 goals and 5 assists, but 12 shots. He could have had probably 7 goals without question.
Right.
But just better shooting overall, I think.
Yeah, let's talk about the defense a little bit, because I think that was a big key going into this season, and it comes with a caveat when you talk about the defense last year. They were out there for a ton last year. I think statistically they were 19th in defensive efficiency on Lacrosse Reference last year in the country, and that's pretty strong when you consider how much they had to play. But how improved do you think the defense has been last year to this year so far in year one with Coach O?
Well, I think they're playing a lot looser. I think they're playing a lot more free. I think the addition of Riley Figueres, who came off injury, I think is one aspect that's helped them out a lot. And quite honestly, Billy Dwan is just is a beast out there right now, and the captain Caden Cole at the close defense. So, and then when you go up to the midfield line, I mean, I still say Sam Alexo to me is one of the best long poles in the country, if not the best long pole in the country. He's very versatile too, as we saw last night when he came downfield on that fast break. He was looking after, because we had missed some opportunities early before he got the ball, and he came down, and there was no way he was passing that ball, and he bounced one in. But I'll tell you what, Sam Alexo can play midfield, he can play attack, and I think he'd excel. I think he's a very versatile player.
We're getting some chatters asking about Landon Clary, Kyle. That was a big disappointment or a big bummer from last night when we saw him go down on the far sideline. I don't know if you've heard anything in regards to Landon Clary, but I'm kind of fearing for the worst there, because that just didn't look like a good injury, which is a bummer because they've already lost Max Rosa for the season at that short stick midfield position, and now you might kind of have to get creative, I'm thinking, on how you sort of fill Clary's void there.
Yeah, I know it. I mean, we were kind of talking a little bit in here about that today, and we were thinking about who can you put out there. Do you make Nick Kakamo now a short stick? Because Syracuse is pretty well off at long pole if they need to be. And how about a guy like Blake Borges, a real good athlete out there that's tough and can get after you, I think, a little bit. I mean, there's guys out there that possibly that can run, and that's the big thing about playing defensive midfield. It's not just getting a big guy out there. It's getting a guy that can run, and that's why Clary was out there, because he was a great athlete. He could run, and, of course, obviously, if he was playing with the long pole, he does know how to play good, solid defense, too. So, they're looking for Michael Page to come back right here. But, I even heard, as we were talking around here, we were thinking to ourselves, how about Dylan Segater?
Yeah,
put the short stick in his hand. Maybe get out there. I mean, but it's incredible. Syracuse has a lot of talent out there, but that position, defensive midfield, probably the hardest position next to face-off that you have to play in this sport. And you got to have a great athlete that can really move his feet, can get physical with a big midi. It's a tough position, and you got to be deep there. And losing Clary, and Rosa kind of ruins your depth a little bit. So they're gonna. I'm sure they're up in the war room trying to figure out how they're gonna attack this and how they're gonna go, forward with this. So, but there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of things that they could do, and we'll see how it plays out. I mean, Manhattan will be a good testing ground if they put a new guy out there, and then a week from Saturday it gets real. Yeah. With Maryland.
No doubt. I'm very excited for that Maryland game. That'll be a true litmus test type of game. Before we let you go, Kyle, how about a quick preview of the women's team? Because they've got a huge game to start out, and they start out with a bang here with the challenging schedule beginning on Saturday.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they go to the number one team and defending national champion, Northwestern, out to Evanston, Illinois, to play Northwestern. Syracuse is number 5. Northwestern's number 1. Syracuse is an exciting, fast team on offense to watch. The defense is strong. You got a first-team All-American in goal, and they're going to need every bit of it on the road out there in Evanston. Let's not forget that Northwestern won the national championship. They lost opening day here in the Dome and didn't lose again. So I mean that shows you how big of a win that was for Syracuse out there. But Syracuse has got a lot of offensive power out there with Emma Ward and Emma Tyrell back. Olivia Adamson, no one talks about her. All she does is score goals, And then their midfielders, those big middies out there. We've got the big and the tall and the short midi with Maddie Baxter and Nat Smith, but they're both fast as heck and can go to the cage. And on the defensive end of the field, I mean, it's great to have Bianca Chevalry back and Katie Gooddale without question, and Simpkins. I mean, we got a lot of defensive girls that were hurt, and now they're back, 100% gone. And of course, I talked about having Delaney Schweitzer out there, the first team All-American goalie last year and preseason All-American this year. But I think the key to this team is going to be right up at the dot. And that's Kate Mashevsky, the face-off girl. Last year, she got hurt in, I think it was Game 5 or Game 6, where she got cheap-shotted. Girl dove into her legs from Notre Dame. And she was leading the nation in draws at that time. 3 weeks later, she's out. She's still leading the nation in draws. And she hasn't done anything in the scrimmages so far to show that she isn't ready to go. So I'm looking forward to that, seeing her back in action again. It's a good team. It's a fun team to watch because Kayla Trainer does it the same way as Gary does. They like to get up and down the field fast, so it's going to be and of course, you got to open up. Let's see. In 1 week, we've got number 1 Northwestern, number 9 Army, and number 6 Maryland. In 7 days.
Good luck. So, yeah. Welcome to the new season, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, they They don't dodge anybody, that's for sure. Caleb Trader doesn't dodge anybody.
Yeah, their starts to these seasons recently have been really challenging. But great to have LAC season back, Kyle. Great to chat with you today. Thanks for hopping on, and we'll talk to you on Friday, all right, before that Manhattan game.
Sounds good. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, Kyle Fetterly, the Woo Man himself. I'll be on the call with Kyle Friday. Manhattan is actually a 4 p.m. opening face-off over on TK 330 pregame for that one. That's the next game for the SU men's lacrosse team. And Kyle said it, 2 exciting teams this season to go out and check out inside the Dome. The men's and the women's team both ranked inside the top 10. And the way the men's team is playing, they should be climbing in the polls in the next polls that come out next week. We will step aside. We'll get Mike in here for a little 411 and the 315 when we return on ESPN Radio and KeySportsTalk.com.